the meeting to order. We have roll call.
Gary Bryan,
Here.
Carol Frank,
Here.
myself, Doug Yingling, Stephen Caldwell,
Yep.
Dennis Douglas, and Dan Johnson.
All right, we'll stand and do the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First of all, I want to explain to everybody, this is a board meeting. That means I'll open it for some questions after, but we have some really important decisions we have to make, so I've asked you not to interrupt till the end, okay? All right, so Doug and I picked up our budget. And I think there's a chair over there. What people don't understand about the budget, first of all, is there's not a lot we can change. Most of the things that went up high are, insurance, big time. And that's because they're having trouble getting insurance, hurricanes, and things like that. We have nothing we can do about that. Our water and sewer went up, we have nothing we can do about that. The cable went up a little tiny bit, and, like the, landscaping and things like that, they go up every year a little bit, excuse me. So, pest control went up a little wee bit. But the only things we have any control over are our general funds, our roofing, our painting, our paving reserves, plus we have a loan, which puts us up a little higher. We also came up with a couple other ideas. We're talking about either cutting mulching in half or skipping a year. We've talked about, giving money to the, emergency squad. I mean, that sounds really sad, but, I mean, most people give to charity on their own. I don't think we should mandate that. I am checking into, we pay, $3.38 a month to the beautification out on 674. I'm told that only 30 associations do that, but it was put in our CCNRs and it says it's part of Hillsborough County. I have a note into the lawyer about that to see if there's any way we can get out of that. We have a little bit of money we spend for grounds. Everybody complains all the time, our grass isn't great, we need new plants, we really can't take anything out of that. We have money we put in every month for buildings, that fixes rain spouts and different things that we have to do. So, Doug, you wanna tell them what all you thought?
Okay, Carol mentioned that we each got our copy last week, I guess. So she's been fiddling with numbers and I've been fiddling with numbers and we've come pretty close to each other.
You might as well tell them what they want us to go up first.
I was gonna hold off and give you the,
Okay.
I was gonna give you the good news.
All right, give them the good news.
and bad news.
Well, the good news is
So the
that
good
we
news
don't
is that-
want it to go up that much.
Our bank loan that we've talked about before, the timing for the roof was very fortuitous. Because we got it at 4.05%.
Plus cheaper.
Plus cheaper construction
Right.
labor at the time. Today, you can't touch what we got. So that's the good news. Last year, First Service recommended that we go from $550 to $627, which was a 14.4% increase. And because of the bank loan, we didn't want, we're already paying, we got brand new roofs. So we rationalized that it doesn't make any sense right now to be paying a loan, a good loan, for the new roofs, and at the same time be paying for a future roof, which we're not gonna see for 15 years or more, okay? So that made sense. Okay, so let's see. So, they wanted us to go from 550 to 627, which was 14%, and we went from $550 to $595, which was 8.2%. So we did pretty well, and I think we're pretty comfortable with it because of we're not just not funding, we've got brand new roofs. So when the time comes, this bank loan will be paid off in May of '26. So we're assessed $42.78 on a monthly basis. So in May of '26, we're gonna have $42.78 or more. Now, the elephant in the room is inflation. Inflation's bad this year, it could be worse next year, it could be worse the year after that. So we just have to live with reality. Okay, so we reduced, let's see if I can find it, just bear with me.
We
Okay.
had a percent that we felt we did that last year.
Right, okay, so last year, our increase was 8.2% versus 14%. And that was because we reduced the paving, painting, and roofing assessment, which is all glommed together. We reduced that by 70%. So in effect, we're paying 30%, it's a ballpark, for painting and paving. So that reserve, we reduced from $44.46 to $13.10. So that's where we dropped the assessment, okay? So, as I said before, instead of paying $710, we paid $595. Okay, so this year, they are recommending that we go, let's take a breath. They're recommending that we go from $595 to $710. Now, from what I'm just hearing, there are other communities that are above, okay?
Yeah.
So in the worst case, okay, let's see what we can do here. Okay, so they want us to go from they're recommending that we go from $595 to $710. Now, the other thing to bear in mind is that when the bank loan is paid off, and we're doing $42.78 more, that may not be enough. We may have to go up $60, you know, depending, again, as I mentioned about the elephant in the room. So I asked Stacy over at First Service, you know, what happens if we're not putting enough into the reserves, you know, as the years go by? And she says, if you lower too much, you could underfund the reserve accounts, possibly special assessing for a project. Meaning that when the time comes for painting, and we've only got X dollars, but we need X plus dollars, we might have to do a special assessment, okay? But hopefully, that might not happen. If we're not falling too far behind, and then we catch up on the $42.78, let me see. Okay, so they recommended we go from $595 to $710, which is 19.3%. Using the same thing of not paying Peter and Paul for the same roof. If we go from $595 to $671.49, Carol's pretty close too. That's a 12.9% increase instead of a 19.3% increase. So we're reducing the roof, the painting, and the paving.
And maybe mulch or.
Oh, and there's other, yeah,
Yeah.
so $1 here, $5 all total, whatever. So we would go from $54.22 with a full roof assessment down to $15.72, which is 29% of which is the same as it was last year, 29% again. We're taking 29% of what they recommended for paving and painting, and we're paying $42.78 for the roofs. So then these two in 3 years or whatever, we'll be doing all three, and it might be time then for the paving. Now, when we get to that assessment, we should be okay for painting, and if we, you know, instead of doing the assessment, that First Service may come in at that time, we might be able to go up all that way, but we'll have to goose it one way or the other, because we'll still have some more time till the roofing is due.
And if we do that, we'll have to, at the annual meeting, we'll have to have the whole community agree that we are not going to fully fund the reserves the way they want us to. So, you know, that's what we did last year. We asked the whole community, we tried to explain to them what we were doing, and everybody agreed to go with that. If not, If they don't agree, then we have to go with the 709 at the annual meeting. But how does the board feel about us playing with these numbers?
Yeah, the number I came up with for myself, and Carol came in at 667,
Yeah,
okay, and I
we
came in.
keep coming up with
And I came-
666, and
yeah.
neither one of us
And
wants
I-
that number.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I come up with $671 and say 50 cents,
At one
or
point,
$667, whatever.
670 maybe.
672, fine.
Well, 670 is an even number.
Yeah, 670.
670.
If we, I mean, it's still going up, but there's no
Yeah.
two ways about it. And the things we can't touch, I mean, everybody will get this in their packet when it comes. But there's-
$50 on insurance.
Yeah, how much?
50?
$50
What's
on
that
it.
percentage, Doug? Can you tell us what that percentage is on the, insurance?
The insurance,
Yeah, one's 2707 and it's 78 now, 78.94, 79.
I don't know what that percentage is.
It says-
Went up $48.
It went up $48.13.
Yeah, there's one,
Okay,
look
okay.
into it, he says
Yeah,
it's.
hold on, I got it.
Give them, I
48
can't.
divided
I can't even
by.
ask him.
yeah, I mean, that,
79,
$127.
61%.
61%.
Yeah, and there's not a thing we can do about that. And, somebody suggested we don't have the grass cut as often, we can't choose that. We are given, what the grass costs, and everybody pays the same, and there's nothing we can do about whether they cut it or they don't.
That actually went down.
That did go down, yes. Security, that's the gay people, there's nothing we can do.
Why?
No questions, please, but we're,
Why?
what?
Why can't we do anything with security or federation or, this is what gets me every time is.
I know.
And the answer I get is because we say so, or because it was written on the tablets, came down from the mount or whatever. I don't
Well,
understand that. If
I
you're not
think-
happy, if you go to buy a refrigerator, you're not happy with the price, you shop around.
Well, we
Or you
could,
don't
we
buy
could
it.
be like another association and pull out of everything, and then we have to do it all ourselves. I don't think we wanna go that way.
I'm not saying we should pull out, I'm saying, why are we funding them so much when they're going up so much?
Because
I was
that's what it
expecting to
is.
slam the masters like crazy, but of course they didn't go up.
The
this time.
masters
They
came
did
down.
last year, they got us
Oh,
last year.
well, 20 cents they went up.
Yeah, they didn't go up much. I just don't
I mean,
understand
there's
it.
one
I don't-
one association in here that doesn't belong to the federation, and, I mean, you can do that.
But a security service, I went up
Security.
$1.75.
You still have to pay the security, that's the guys at the gate. You have to pay that whether, as long as you live behind that gate, you're gonna pay
I
that no matter
understand,
what.
I just don't know.
I don't know what you think we can take out. We all pay transportation, that's the buses that go around, whether we use them or not, we
Yeah,
all
I
pay for them.
I
That's,
just, the only answer I get when I say, why are they going up so much? And why can't we cut them is because that's the way it's been, that's the way they say, that's the way it's written, doesn't make sense to me. Because I don't know, I just don't see what we're getting for these increases. Community management, I have no idea what that is.
for service,
That's for service?
Yeah.
I don't know,
I know it's a
it
problem.
drives me crazy that we can't touch some of these and then they can tell us, you're gonna pay so much more. Well, like, hell, we are, is the way I
Well,
look at it at
well,
times,
the
but-
federation and the master, the presidents can go and vote at those, but there's not much you can do.
But see, that's
If
the
they
thing.
all say, okay,
It's so frustrating, that's all I
if
get,
you're
there's
one
not much you can
person.
do, there's not much you can do.
well,
It's like
the same-
taxation without representation,
It's the
but.
same as
I
the
guess
federal
we can just
government,
jump
we
out.
do have representation,
Yeah.
it's the same as the federal government. You know, we can't tell them that they're spending our money wrong, because they don't care.
Well, that's true, I mean, that's the thing.
Carol, I'm wondering, we put these roofs on, and I think I've got the figures at home. Remember this is going back a ways, when they segregated the funds for buildings, roads, roofing, painting? And one was 6%, one was 15%, I think the roofs were like 42%. Are we putting enough away based on those figures? So, and they know that at first,
First
master, first service,
Mhm.
they say, okay, here's what everybody paid for painting last year, therefore you should be putting this much more away next year.
Sure.
They know what the cost went up, so that's what their figures are out of. So when we get to the end of this, are we keeping track of that we're gonna have enough money?
We're in the same position now with this proposed budget as we were when we started, or we ended with the other one. I mean, you did a good job of estimating of the three components,
Yeah.
how much we should be, how much roofing is, and we're saving, okay, so 30% for the others and 70% for paint, for roof,
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
roof.
yeah, yeah.
But, and we're paying $42.78, so it's almost a wash.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
all right.
So, no, we're doing pretty
Because
well.
the choice is at the end of this, if we don't have enough, it's a special assessment.
Correct,
Right.
correct,
That
so
should
we're
be
gonna.
very
yeah.
clear.
And we've got
Yes.
3 years of living with this,
Yeah,
okay, it's
right,
not like
right.
last
And-
year,
and-
hey, we did pretty well, and this year, whoa, what happened? Well,
Yeah.
we're still okay. We're
And
still,
the painting, even from First Services papers, says that should happen in 3 years. And the roofs will be paid for in 3 years.
Yeah, all
I
I'm
would
saying
like-
is I think people need to be aware that
Right,
Yeah.
if there isn't enough money,
yes, it could happen.
yeah, right. I
Yeah,
mean,
well, we could,
because of inflation, like the roofs, we're gonna keep
Right.
going up, that's why we got the heck out of the business,
Exactly.
you know,
yeah.
because they.
And I would like to see, I was telling Doug, I would like to have, get some bids on painting starting next year, 3 years in advance, to get an idea of where we are. So maybe next year, we won't be able to play with this money. We'll say, okay,
Yeah.
we don't have enough for painting and
Yeah,
we
good.
have to let it go. So,
The other thing to Steve's question is, I think that when Portsmouth was designed, we had signed some agreements for management companies and
We
things
did.
like that.
we're locked in,
I mean,
pretty much.
The other one that I would think that we might have some flexibility with is the insurance. We have, last year, they went from 5,000 deductible to 10,000. And it was a hidden increase in our cost. Because the same price just went up to 10,000.
Well,
And
we had some damage during the hurricane,
Yeah,
and we covered it, because no insurance
covered to 10,000.
Right, so
Right.
we had to cover whatever damage happened out of our fund.
All right. What I'm wondering is if over the next year, we shouldn't explore, there are a lot of companies that will sell condo insurance, the whole package, to see if we can't get it at a better rate than the Master Association.
It's not the master.
Or the
Federation does all contracts.
Yeah, well, maybe if there's some things we can opt out of, we might wanna take a look at that.
I don't know if there is, we would
Okay,
have
well,
to,
maybe there isn't.
we would have to find that out.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad idea.
If we could,
I don't
Get
think
better-
the association would be self-insured, can you?
I don't
I don't think you're allowed to use your own insurance, I don't know. I mean, I think everybody would be
oh,
doing
it's
that.
not self-insured, Gary, it's looking at other companies that provide condo insurance,
I
just
think
like
the
this.
whole problem is, so many companies have left for it. We have hurricanes, and even though they don't always really affect us all the time, they affected, how many people did they affect down south, and how many insurance
Yeah.
companies had to pay out the wazoo to cover that, and that's what we're feeling the pinch from.
Well, we take a look at it, see if
Sure.
that is a possibility. The other thing too is, this is not, it's sort of related to the budget, but as far as covering our things at dwellings and things, there is a special insurance policy that you can buy on your condo, that if the association doesn't have, if we have a catastrophic thing, and the association doesn't have enough money to pay for it, I think I pay like $8 a year, and it covers up to $10,000, will cover $10,000 what the association, if the association is gonna bill us, like, we don't have enough money to pay for all the damage, that they give me the first 10,000. And it's really cheap, it was recommended at a federation meeting on insurance, that everybody look into that. So you don't wind up with a special assessment, even if you do, it's gonna pay for that special assessment.
Yeah, I know they have a lot of meetings like that that are really beneficial. All right, so what do you think about the emergency squad? Does that bother anybody if we knock that out?
What would that mean, that they wouldn't serve Seinfeld?
No,
Green?
no. It's
Just a
just
donation.
it's a
Oh,
donation.
it's a
that
donation.
we
We'll drag you
did,
to Maplewood.
we did, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the regular emergency
No.
would.
Well, first of all, the regular emergency
The
would come.
regular
But no,
emergency,
it was-
911,
It was just,
whatever.
you know, when money was cheap, it was something they thought, wouldn't it be nice if we all gave every month something to the emergency squad? And I think it's wonderful that we do that, but when pinch comes to shove here, we have to do something.
Right.
And I am talking to the lawyer about this 674 beautification, cause I'm being told that that was something the developer did with Hillsborough County, and they don't think we can cancel that. But I'm gonna try. Because,
I think that's right, that's my understanding, but
but I'm gonna
that'd be
try.
awesome to try, yeah.
Yes, because
absolutely.
that's, I mean, this is piddly, let's face it. That's $338 a month per person, or per unit. And that doesn't sound like much, but it adds up, and it, you know, if we can bring some of these down, cause Doug and I don't know what else to do.
The emergency, I mean, that's $30 a year for each of us.
Yeah,
For those, I mean, if somebody's giving $50 for the year or $25 for the year, they don't know that you're also giving $30 for the year.
exactly.
So,
I
I
mean,
don't know,
you, hopefully people still donate.
I don't have a problem in dropping it, I mean, I give, I don't know, what do you all think?
I think that's a pretty cheap ride.
Yeah.
You wanna leave it there,
Yeah.
You prefer-
$30 a year to have them come and pick grandma or grandpa
but
up.
it's not gonna, that doesn't change it. They're still coming to pick you up. It's just a voluntary
donation.
donation.
Oh, but they won't be coming if they don't have
Yes,
the
they
money.
will.
If they don't have the funds.
Well, if they,
Well,
yeah,
if
true.
they don't have the funds
Well,
overall.
we could tell people in a email, you know, in
Yeah,
a
maybe that's
communication,
the way to
we
do it.
encourage you,
To
let them know,
donate.
okay, we're dropping this, please feel free to donate. If you're
Donate.
not already donating,
Yeah,
Right.
good idea,
Place to
that's a
go.
good idea.
I mean, we're gonna have to talk about this, probably all of it, at the annual meeting, so hopefully we'll, I mean, we wrote a letter last year, Gary, didn't we, to
Mhm.
prepare people, but.
I like that, Doug, that idea of.
yeah, or, I mean, you look at the other side of the coin, and a person says, okay, we'll continue to do that, but I'm not gonna give my $25 or $50, or I'll reduce it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, it's almost a secret, you know, people don't know.
Yeah.
See,
people don't even know
I
they're
had no
donating.
idea we were
Yeah.
donating
We are.
this.
I mean, we love those people,
Yeah.
We do,
Yeah.
they're doing the Lord's work, you know?
yes. And the beautification, none of us ever go to that meeting, but I know we want it to be beautiful out there, but that also is a donation. And I don't know how, there's only 30 associations that do that. How do we have to do that and the other stuff?
Yeah.
That doesn't
I'm
seem
trying
right
to
either.
remember how that was structured, I read something on it once, and I don't recall exactly how that came about, but.
I don't know either, but.
Seems like it's getting high enough that donations need to go by the wayside to me.
Well, it's just because we're so high that
Right.
we don't wanna see people suffer.
I don't have a problem in, if we wanna start moving this, I'm comfortable with doing the 672 or the 667, whatever Ethel said. And live with that for this year,
Okay,
and
and try to work
not,
some of these out.
and not go up to $710.
Yeah.
But I think we had a good year, we got the bank loan, we might as well use it to our advantage for another year. We're not falling any further behind.
I wanna be careful on underfunding the reserves,
But we're not,
I ran into a really ugly
we're in the same spot we
situation,
were last year.
Go ahead.
With, where a bank denied a buyer a loan because the reserves were below the minimum the bank considered, I think it was 10% or whatever, but,
Well, you know, what they tell us is we can get somebody to come in and do a reserve study, but then we're spending a lot of money
Yeah.
to do that. And, cause we don't know if First Service is exactly right on with some of
Sure.
this. I mean, we could be just fine, but because they say we should put that much, that's how we show we might be underfunded. I don't know.
Well, I don't know how the bank observed that, but it was,
Well, it's all available.
yeah, they get the, financials, and it's just something to be aware of.
How far out is the irrigation project? We'll have to pay for
We don't
that
even
thing.
know that yet.
You don't know that?
No, they haven't, they're gonna start at the front,
Mhm.
and my understanding is they're gonna fund it.
Yeah,
We would
Buy
pay,
up in their thing next
buy
year,
up in their
budget,
thing, yeah. But they're not gonna be doing anything to us for a couple of years.
Okay.
And we'll say we were flat last year, but we need to go up here because of the irrigation
Yeah.
problem. You watch, I can see it
Well,
coming.
it can happen.
It's gonna happen.
It's still a good place to live, and our cable and all of the things that most people don't get paid for, our water and sewer, you know, I mean, a lot of, my daughter sells real estate too, and there are a lot of the people in here already are paying $700 a month.
Yeah.
And some of them are in flat tops,
Mhm.
so,
In the small.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Wow, same stuff.
yes, we are one of the lower ones.
The difference
think-
between,
I
Go
think
ahead.
that I heard, either this morning or the other day, that for some of the trailer parks here, they're moved into the $1,400 a month rent for just to park your trailer with no amenities.
Yeah.
I mean, that's only relative, I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with us, but when you compare it,
the
So what-
difference between, First Services recommendation and our playing with our, you know, our bank loan is only 5%. Last year, 627 was what they recommended, and we paid 595, which included, you know, the assessment for the reserve, so we were 5% behind. And this year, it's the same thing, 5.4% between $710 and $670. So it's not like last year we were 5%, oh, now we're 9%, we're still 5%, so.
You knock out the donations.
Yeah, a little here, a little there,
Less.
and then in 26, we're done with the bank loan.
What's the difference between your figure and your figure?
I don't know, what was your?
You said 667, I said 6.
No, what, as far as taking, she must have taken
I don't
more
know.
out than you did.
It's just rounding.
Well, I was playing with the mulch
Yeah.
and things like that.
I didn't get rid of anything.
I don't think that I thought about that, and I was doing like half of the mulch and doing maybe just the fronts next year, and maybe hiring somebody to come and rake up because we have a lot of mulch that just kind of blows back, and if it was raked up to where,
I think if you're looking at that, that's a good thought, Carol.
you know,
That's-
hire
we can look
that
at it.
done, and maybe just slightly mulching next, I don't wanna say let's not mulch. A couple people have said, let's skip a year. I don't know about doing that, or Dan, that would be something you'd have to,
Yeah, I think that's workable. How much would we be saving then?
well, if we didn't do any, it would be $5.37 a month. It's not much, that's mulch,
Per unit?
per year,
That's 500,
per month.
yeah,
$5 per
132 is 500 a month. 132 units times
100.
5,
108.
108.
108, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. It's $500 a month.
Yeah.
6,000 a year.
Yeah,
We can do that,
don't you think?
half of that at least, to do the fronts.
Right. Just, we could do that for a year or two, to help us get through the payment and maybe fix this a little.
You mentioned something about if we get somebody just to rake.
Yeah,
to-
right,
No,
that's what I
I-
said, if we could hire, I hate to say Garcia, but if we could hire somebody to rake the mulch up, I mean,
Just a thought.
there's a lot of mulch there, it's just, it gets washed to the back and,
Well, I think, I know Jim did some work with this, moving it back from the edge of the grass 6 inches, leaving that dirt strip along there so the mowers don't blow it all out.
Cause that's
year
all
long.
they do, yeah.
And they don't rake it, they don't do anything with it, but,
So that would be something you'd have to work in to get it, you know, sometime
so
before.
take my rake out there.
Get a
Jimmy,
crew, get a crew, Jim will help you, I'm sure. Okay, what else?
You know, another thing that you gotta be thinking about is these units, 2006, 2005, 2006, they're bearing up on 20 years old. And if you had a home at 20 years, you know, oh yeah, it's painting, it's roofing, you know, things go downhill, you gotta put new water furnace in. It's easy to say, well, it was only $100, the first 5 years, cause you're not paying anything, everything's brand new, the roofs are new, everything's brand new. So, that's just another way to think of it, is we're in the stage of it, if you're buying a home, that it's gonna cost more.
Mhm.
The other thing is, if you can believe this or not, but the average since since 2000, the average inflation rate is just a little more than 3%. It seems like a funny figure, but that's all it is 3%. Some years it's 8, but there were some years where it went down.
Hmm.
So,
Well, we can hope.
yeah.
Okay, so what's your pleasure? What do we do?
That's all.
670.
670.
670.
I'm gonna go with 670.
670? You work with that?
I'm good.
I'm happy about it.
I'm not happy about it either.
No.
Jim, when
I'm
we
late,
moved,
but I'm gonna vote on it.
when we moved here, Jim said, when it hits 600, we're out of here. And we're still here.
Well, 600 isn't what it used to be.
No, it isn't. So, okay, 670, Dan, or Doug, we'll have to work where we're taking it from. We can do the mulch, cause we have to sign this and have it in by December.
Well, we can get it below, I mean, if, buck here, I don't know. Can we say 670 here, and then when we get to the January meeting, it could be, does it have to be exact right now?
We have to, by
Oh, we have to turn
by
this in
December
December
9th,
9th,
I have
that's
to
right.
send it to
Right.
Stacy, and she
Okay.
sends it to all these nice people.
Okay, we gotta decide then, what's it gonna be then?
670 will work with it?
Okay. Alrighty?
Okay.
Sounds good. Need a
Okay.
vote?
All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, now, if some people have things they wanna say, go for it. Yes,
There's a way to save money, I think, I don't know, but it would also help us when it comes to global warming, and that is get rid of the grass. Put in some kind of, ground cover that doesn't require water, and I don't know what that would cost, I don't even know if there is such a thing. But maybe somebody ought to look into that, and see if we can save money.
We've been getting rid of our grass pretty quick.
I was gonna say, it's only
No, you're right, and there is some alternatives, it means, I'm not sure if it's Bermuda or Zoysia, but, one of them turns brown real quick, but it's a healthy grass and it spreads like crazy, so, alright, some of that. But then you don't get the nice green grass all
Yeah.
around either.
Good for half the year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Other associations have been told that their increases, even though they're being told, may change because the Federation has not finalized the corporate insurance policy.
that's true,
So, I mean,
but that doesn't affect us. If they don't take that amount of money, it stays in our pile, say, Portsmouth Bank.
I
But
understand
we
that.
won't, they won't know that till after March, and we have to have a budget before.
But no, but what they're telling their population within their associations is that even though they're going up, X amount of dollars, it could force an increase higher than what they're talking about right now to cover the increase in insurance.
They won't change it till next year. They'll,
Okay, cause as I said, other associations, have been walking out of their meetings going, okay, this is, right now, we're confident that we're getting a $100 increase, however, they won't finalize the insurance until they get an actual contract and establish that, and then they're gonna come back, and it's either, it's lower, and it's gonna go into your reserve, or unfortunately, it's higher. And I guess, my question is to the board, do you get that feeling that, you're voting on that the increase, you're being frugal, it could come back saying, no, you gotta go to 700 because the insurance, our state legislators have not protected us in the insurance. They have been slow talking about it, they have still not acted to get really involved in protecting the state, because, I have friends in Hawaii, they deal with, Big Island, Hilo, they're sitting on 2 volcanoes, they don't have an insurance issue. Texas, Louisiana have just as many disasters, they're not dealing with an insurance crisis. It's really up to us to force our state legislators to voice our concern that they're not protecting the population, and it's gonna force the population to leave the state. And the only way, if we as voters do not really bombard our legislation, we're always gonna be dealing with this issue. Because, but that's not a board issue, but that's the reality. So, it's, the other question I have, Carol, is, and it's sort of piggybacking what Stephen's saying, we have lived with First Service as our vendor. They're contracted. The
their contract's almost up.
I understand
There
that, but-
have been others.
Right, no, what I'm saying is, again, if you're concerned as a population that First Service is just not being frugal, not really going out
It's
in a,
not First Services that's doing this,
They
it's
do
the
the contract.
Federation.
right, but the
Federation has a
combination of the two may not necessarily be advantageous to the population at large. That I think we as residents need to take a more vocal stand at the Federation meetings, because numbers do rattle the Federation, and they definitely need to be sent a message that First Service really, every year that I've been in this association, Spectrum has been allowed to go up. Waste management, it fluctuates. First Service negotiates these on behalf of the Federation.
The Federation does. They have their own people that work on contracts. They have volunteers that work
Then
on
what is
contracts.
First Service's role? Then I misunderstood.
First Service does all our paperwork, and they take care of our money, but they don't deal with the contracts. They have a person that oversees, the grass management and things like that, like Joey, and they really don't take care of the contracts. It's all done by the Federation, and, the Federations are volunteers, like us.
Right.
That get on that board, and if one of them has, like, one of them I know from Maplewood has been in, insurance, he's on the insurance group. And they have different volunteers that work with them to get contracts. They do all of that. First Service does not.
So First Service is basically just our administrator,
Absolutely.
doing paperwork.
They do paperwork. They pay our taxes, they do a lot of different things for us. But,
Well, could we cut that out and we have our attorney pay the taxes on behalf of the association? Is that an
I guess we
option?
could.
I
don't know
mean,
what that would cost.
I was always
Every time I call that attorney, it costs us a lot of money.
Well,
I don't know.
Well,
I
it
don't
should
know
be
if
a
I feel so.
retainer, but,
I mean, it's better for me to be able to call Stacy and say, we have an issue, and have her send out a letter, because she's already paid for it. Every time we call a lawyer, we pay more. We get billed.
okay.
I don't know. Yes.
Can I first, before, just piggyback on
Go ahead.
that question, with the insurance thing? I know, Stacy for one, overfigures stuff, I think. So I don't think we're gonna have a problem with that, but if it does
She
go
didn't
up,
put that number in there.
if it does go up, somebody over there did, I think.
Well, they put the numbers in, they're given from the federation.
Which I think is inflated, but that's okay.
Okay, I'm not
If
saying
it
you're
does,
wrong.
if it does go up, would that mean a special assessment? Cause I know, once this is voted on, it's kinda like, as I said, written in the tablets that come down.
Yeah,
And nothing can be changed till next year, as annual
well,
meeting.
the person that, I mean, everybody should go to federation meetings, they really should.
Well, I was the one that unfortunately reported that the insurance was gonna be so
Right.
high.
And he spoke, I mean, the budget meeting, Doug and I were there, and he spoke, and he's fairly confident
Yeah.
that this number's good.
Oh, I'm sure, I
It
don't
might
have a
be,
problem with it.
it may be high.
But
If it's high, the money stays in our pocket.
But if it does come back higher, do we special assess, what do we do?
I have never
Okay,
seen that happen, I don't know.
It was the same last year then, right?
Yes.
The figure we just determined was still up for renew, I mean,
Good for change.
depending
also-
on what the insurance was, and it didn't change,
when we
so.
do this next year, when she gives you this stuff, and maybe this is way out of left field and so forth, can we have to know what we've paid, what we spent this year? We got this year's budget.
We have
But
that
we don't
one.
know, okay,
It's all here, and,
can we get that next time around?
and guess what? Everybody can get this online.
Oh,
Stacy puts that out there.
maybe I
You
did, I looked
can-
at it and didn't realize
There
what it
is,
was.
there is a website that you can go on and see every single dollar. And if you're so willing to read all this, leave that up to Doug. But
Okay.
anyhow, you
I mean,
can,
we're-
you can
we're-
see what all you've paid and everything.
As far as year to date, I mean, we're not over on anything a lot, we're not behind, you know what I'm
No.
saying? We're not getting any money back at the end of the year, and a refund, we're not paying anything, right?
Right.
We're looking all right.
We're good. We have a lot of money,
I was hoping we're
Sitting
gonna
in
get
there.
some back and we can look
oh
at it
yeah,
otherwise.
don't we wish.
Alright, sorry about that back there.
That's all right, in the back.
Okay, a couple items.
First of all, somebody asked me last time, somebody else did the minutes. Please tell me who you are
George
What house
Jenkins,
and what house number you're on.
2023 Cross Street.
George who?
Jenkins.
Jenkins, okay. All right.
Okay, the gentleman mentioned extra condo insurance. I'm interested in that. I don't know if you can put it on the board thing or give me some kind of information to that.
Sure.
Another thing to do is roofs. Our reserve for the roof, we're gonna change it a little bit from what, Federation recommends.
Right.
And how many years are we figuring it to be, for reserves to be paid into? The length of the reserves?
We pay in always, but besides the roofs, we have painting and paving. All right, so those are all reserves.
Yes,
It's one pool.
yes,
The roofs are considered 30-year life.
okay.
The, how long was the painting? I forgot, 12, 10, yeah, that's something, I don't know.
So we're gonna plan our budget on a 30-year life. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Our reserves,
Our reserves, yes.
yeah.
Okay.
And we just replaced all the roofs,
Yes, I know.
yes.
I heard it.
Okay.
And to follow up what Al says about lawns, I lived 12 years in the villages and zoysia worked pretty good. I mean, you only have to cut it once a month in the winter time if that. But another thing that's getting popular up there, and if you wanna see an example of it, is up to the Seminole Casino, is artificial turf. Looks beautiful. Don't have to water it. Okay, that's it.
Okay, thank you,
You're welcome.
yes.
Although
You don't have to cut it either.
it isn't good news, but I think we should stay on the high side, because, and I'm not an expert on this or anything, but I think once the rebuilding effort gets started in Florida on the impacted areas, building materials and labor is gonna skyrocket,
That's true.
because there'll be so much demand,
And from what I've heard on Fort Myers Beach and that, they're gonna be building all these little ma and pa cottages and all this, that's gonna go to the high dollar houses. So guess where the demand for building materials and labor is gonna be?
True.
So that's,
Get your job.
I don't think things are gonna get any cheaper, basically.
No, I don't either.
I
Joyce,
like what Dan said about the
I forgot to make them say their name, I'm sorry.
Joyce, I'm
Yeah,
Joyce.
I'm not trying to.
You know who he is, oh,
Tom
okay.
Holting,
Tom Holt,
2019.
2019.
okay.
And 2032 Joyce. I like what Dan said, $8 for extra insurance if something comes up. Well, if everybody pays $8 a year, will that lower the budget on the
No,
roof?
no, no, he's talking about, he pays it through his condo insurance. His
Yeah.
personal condo
Nice.
insurance,
You're inside.
that's what he's talking about.
Right, right.
Yeah, he
Oh,
put
like the
an
homeowners.
extra, like
A rider
say a
on it.
rider
Rider.
on his
Oh.
condo insurance, that if something goes wrong.
If the tornado concern takes out all the buildings and our insurance does not cover it, okay, there has to be a special assessment to cover it. If there has to be a special assessment, you can buy a really, really cheap insurance that would cover that special insurance in $10,000 increments or something. So the first $10,000 of special assessment, my insurance will cover that. If something would come through and wipe that out, it's sort of a protection of what the association is, cause the association's gonna pay so much up to 15 billion or something, whatever the
Yeah,
value
it's
of the.
billions now, the insurance.
But
for a
like,
billion-dollar
but
bill.
like, Tom just said, the cost of materials is skyrocketing. What I'll do, I'll just stop now, but I'll have at the next meeting, I will get that in the notes, I'll tell you what it is, the exact name of it, and you can do what you
Okay.
wanna do with it.
Was that through, what it's from your, homeowner's insurance?
Right, that's
What
right.
insurance company do you currently use? And is it the
He
same,
doesn't know.
Well, I know, it's State Farm.
but State Farm wrote the.
Yeah, but I had another insurance company and they also had it.
Oh,
I
okay,
changed it, so it's a
we
common,
could all just check our
It's a
own.
common thing.
it's a common rider on your policy that you can.
Okay, any other questions in the back?
George Jenkins, 2023. It's a question about the loan. We owe, what, $180-some thousand money we borrowed. And if you were to sell your home, are you obligated to list that on your sales agreement if you sell your home?
I don't know, Dennis, if somebody puts their house up for sale, they do know about the loan, right? When you have to disclose that,
Yeah,
I think so,
I think so too.
I think
I'd
so.
have to, something I'd have to check with my broker on.
I mean, there's a little bit of liability.
Cross
there.
that.
The thing is,
They all get, actually this,
Yes,
they get the
they're-
financials,
yeah, but what is that called, that,
well,
there's that,
disclosure, the
Yeah, I forget-
property seller,
yeah, there is like a
Property
disclosure,
sale.
I think it's on that,
disclosure.
Okay.
And there may be, I'm trying to remember if there's a question on that.
I don't know.
Um,
I can't remember. I got
I
names.
can't either.
I'm not fuzzy one about that.
Anybody else?
Joel Markey, 2062. I'd like to know what the total cost of replacing all the roofs was. How much of it, what percent came from the loan and what percent came out of funds on hand? Anybody have those numbers?
Was the loan 250? I came in the middle, I mean.
Yeah, I don't know, we did a lot of, we did use some reserve money for the for the roofs before we borrowed,
Any idea what the percentage was?
I don't know.
Percentage of what?
Wasn't it like 160,000 from reserve and then I think like 250 from the, was the loan if I
I think the
remember?
loan was 250.
And my memory's not good, so, but I'm.
Yeah, and
somewhere
I
that's
don't retain numbers, so.
I think it would be pretty easy to get the figures of Joel for what we were paying to put the roofs on, okay, versus what we settle for, cause it's the same thing, but what we were paying when we put the roofs on, what we the roofer said, well, I'll give you the same rate that we currently got right now. So I think we can find that per roof, and then we can compare it to what it would be costing if we put on 20 this year and 20.
No, but I think, that's not.
That's not my question, my question is very simple, how much did it cost? Somebody must have that number. What's the total number to replace the roofs that we've already paid? How much of it was a loan, how much of it came from reserves,
I don't know.
as a
But
percentage?
that wasn't a loan to replace all the roofs.
No.
We had already replaced some of the roofs.
The figures I gave was for the
That's
last
what I
18
wanna
years.
know, I wanna know what it costs to replace all the roofs. We replaced 108 roofs, did we
You'd
not?
have to look that up, Doug.
Well,
When did it cost?
it started, I believe, in 20.
It was over 3 years, so what?
Yeah.
I just wanna know the total amount.
That's something you'd have to go back in the records
Well,
and see. pay the
truthfully,
checks, yeah.
Okay.
You could call First Service and ask for Stacy Terrazek, and she would be able to give you a better answer than that. We are
The Portsmouth
volunteers,
Association.
and
you
that
know that?
is that is our
Okay.
management company.
Just a hypothetical statement, I guess you would say is, this is a retirement community. There's a lot of old people who live here because we're a retirement community. When costs go up this sharply, if we were to go to say 700 and whatever, 710, 2-3 years, it's $1,000 a month. Pretty soon we're gonna be driving people out of this community, are we not? Just
I
look
feel
up.
that, I feel that also.
It's already happened.
I was gonna say, that,
Yeah.
but we already got it.
Yeah, I have a lady that called me and told me she was moving because she already knew that it was going up, she said $100, and she said, I'm out of here.
You're not only driving them out, but
Wait.
nobody's gonna wanna buy in.
What-
Yeah.
I guess I bring that up in context of replacing a roof on the clubhouse, which I understand costs, I don't know. Somebody said we saved $1 million by doing it last year instead of waiting. Building a building like this. There's a lot of stuff here that a lot of people don't use, that we're spending a lot of money on. Just asking.
Yes,
That's
we
the
have no
Federation
control
is,
over that.
the Federation is dealing with that, right?
Actually, that's Vesta that does that, it's not the Federation. You know, if you go on kpscc.com, it tells you all the different facets, and you can see what each one does, and what each one controls. Vesta controls the buildings and all entertainment.
Vesta does.
Yes. that
So
has
they
nothing-
maintain the buildings.
They maintain the buildings, and and they plan the activities and the
Right.
buses and the security. Federation are volunteers. Vesta is paid people, yes.
They went inside and just put that expensive flooring in the north one. And we're supposed to be cutting down.
They actually have reserves just like we do, and they use those reserves.
That was unnecessary. I mean, that's where some of our money is being
That
wasted.
is, I hate to say it, but that is your opinion, because one of the things, this is what
We need
they,
Italian ceramic.
this is what they say. If they don't keep up, people won't come back here. Younger
We're gonna be
people
able
are
to live
coming,
here pretty soon if
That's
we keep
true.
doing this.
but that was part of their
Keep
reserves.
their nice floor, but I mean, no one's gonna be living here.
Could you put on, in the minutes, what, with the site to see what each of the Vesta, what their responsibilities and what they do?
KingsPointSunCityCenter.com.
Oh, good,
Yeah,
I'll forget that as soon
it's
as I
gonna be
read
in the
the
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah, right.
No, it's just KPSCC.
And yeah,
could you just put that in the minutes?
Oh.
no, the minutes are done pretty much as far as, all we really were supposed to discuss is the budget.
It might be on the bulletin board, is that what
I don't know.
Well, just to
I've got the website, they've got a great website.
I will text it to you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I got one more.
All right, one more.
To help the lady up there, and you can tell me if I'm correct, is the Federation and the people that has loaned us is $65 million. They require us to upkeep the property. And
It has
I
to be
think that
kept.
may answer a lot of people's questions why we do things. It seems it's not warranted. But yeah, we're required to keep our property up due to their loan.
Yes, and they have people that check out what needs to be replaced, that's what they do, and that is Vesta. That is not the volunteer groups, those are paid people, and they're trying to keep the property up, and they have to, because they have a loan. So, anything else?
Can they put a tag in ceramic, do you know what that costs?
I have an announcement to make. The United States beat Iran in soccer.
That's a good one.
Alright. Stick with
We'll
our
give him
number.
another flag.
Okay.
A loser flag.
Motion